More than any episode of The Mandalorian so far, Chapter 13 has had, I would say, the highest expectations. I'm John Berry, and this is my review of The Mandalorian Chapter 13, The Jedi. This is the 5th episode of the 2nd season. So, this is the first part I'm going to talk about, expectations. I would say this episode has had the highest expectations of any of the Mandalorian episodes. And it's also had the most time for the expectations to form. Because generally to form expectations, you need an indication of what's going to be. In a way, it's more like the Star Wars movies in that we've had a long time, 2 weeks really, with solid knowledge that yes, this is going to be the episode where Ahsoka appears. We had rumors that Ahsoka was going to appear, and so we figured sometime, but we had no real solid clue. And then in chapter 11, we got Bo-Katan and name dropped the name Ahsoka. Well, some people thought immediately next episode, everyone pretty much figured gonna be in 2 episodes, which is now chapter 13, because that's the one directed by Dave Filoni. Made sense. So we pretty much had between 1 to 2 weeks, depending on which camp you fell in, of time to build up expectations for Ahsoka's appearance. That's the longest we really had for any episode of Mandalorian for expectations. We did not know which episode Bo-Katan was going to appear in, even though she was rumored to appear in. None of us were expecting Cobb Vanth to appear, so we had no time to build up expectations so we could go in practically blind. But with this episode, we had expectations of Ahsoka. You probably remember even in my reviews, I talked about my expectations. And I would say, for the most part, I think I was spot on. Yeah, I had expectations that maybe Sabine was going to pop up with Ahsoka, but I wasn't counting on it. Especially because there was no rumor about it. So I got something wrong. And because I'm focusing right now on school, because it's like the end of the year, and this is like the only work I'm doing for my YouTube channel, the Mandalorian reviews. I am running with low expectations because I'm not focusing on my expectations. Rather, I'm focusing on everything else. So that would mean my expectations are not playing as high, I think, as other people's expectations might. So now that I've got all of this talk of expectations out of the way, what did I think of the episode? Well, I enjoyed it. I could say there's a few things like, yeah, I kind of wish they had done story-wise, but what they did makes sense, and I think has opened some interesting options for the story. First of all, I think the Ahsoka-related elements of the plot, except for the ones directly related to Baby Yoda and Din, I do believe that this is more intended to serve as a backdoor pilot rather than turn the Mandalorian into a sequel for Star Wars Rebels. No. If anything, a backdoor pilot for such a sequel, whether it be live action or animation. Because, no, we don't get any name drops of any Rebels characters, except for one who was actually a Legends character. Spoilers, Grand Admiral Son. Ahsoka is looking for his location, which implies to us that she hasn't found Ezra yet. So, that's just something to consider, that this is a backdoor pilot, setting some things up, but nothing special that, nothing special to take away from the Mandalorian, in my opinion. Other thing this episode does is, and I can't believe they actually did that, gave Baby Yoda a name. And it does not begin with the letter Y. Actually, I think I know exactly why. If I remember the name pronunciation correct, it's Gordu, if I remember that correctly. But I think I know why they didn't go with a Y name. Yoda and Yaddle. We've already had 2 of Yoda's species whose name begins with a Y. Why should he be any different? Well, I'll tell you why. He should be different because he's his own unique character. And I'm still going to say, everyone's going to keep calling him Baby Yoda. It's just going to happen. But we did learn some about his history, that he was apparently trained a little bit at the temple. But, training a toddler is probably, at the Jedi time, was much control the Force, use the Force to play, and don't make a mess. Come on, that's generally how you... I don't know how you treat toddlers. Haven't had any experience with that. Maybe because when my youngest cousin was a toddler, I was like 5. Actually, I was maybe 6 or 7. It's definitely any way to understand what's going on. But the clear thing is, I think we can draw from this is that Baby Yoda's had some experience with the Force. It makes sense. He's over 50 years old. We also do learn that he disappeared during the Jedi attack on the temple. So there was something to be said that the Empire initially was the ones who kidnapped Baby Yoda and eventually fell into the hands of whoever was guarding him in the second episode of The Mandalorian. Or was it the first episode? It was the beginning of The Mandalorian. And so now Baby Yoda is in the care of Din. And there's that. Now, Ahsoka does not take Baby Yoda, does not train him in that, which most of us were expected, but I really enjoyed the reason they gave, because she saw the attachment between Din and Baby Yoda, and she has first-hand experience of how not letting go of attachment can be quite dangerous. Because let's remember who trained Ahsoka. Yeah, the father of Luke Skywalker, also known as Darth Vader, back when he was still called Anakin Skywalker. So it makes sense that Ahsoka, seeing some, force sensitive with such strong attachments to somebody, will be leery about training because she has first-hand experience of that. And actually, so not only we get some good character development for Ahsoka that I would not expect to get. Now, did we get as much character development for Din? I don't think as much. He was fully willing to let Baby Yoda go and be trained by Ahsoka, but at the same time, we did get a good scene of him, saying goodbye. No, it's a silent scene, but it's very much is a touching scene and does, I think, to show that not only has Baby Yoda formed attachment to Din, but Din has also formed an attachment to Baby Yoda. And I think that is important for us, especially for the next episode, where basically Ahsoka gives Din the instructions, head for the planet of Tyson and a ruined Jedi temple there, and there Baby Yoda can choose his own destiny. First of all, Tyson, in legend, that was considered like the home world, the home planet, the founding planet of the Jedi. So it's kind of neat that we are getting that brought back into canon. And, I wouldn't be surprised if we run into Luke Skywalker, but at the same time, I will be also perfectly expecting him not to appear. I'm just saying, actually, it would be more impressive. It would be impressive if they did. But the thing is, we probably would have heard some kind of rumor by now. I'm just saying. It's perfectly possible that if Luke Skywalker does appear, they kept that a secret, but I don't know. Considering that Bo-Katan was basically leaked and so was Ahsoka, yeah, it's not going to happen. Because the leaks were because everyone wanted to find the next Baby Yoda. So, unless everyone somehow agreed to keep such a secret, it's not happening. But it would be but that's because I think Baby Yoda is going to choose to stay with Din. That's what I'm going to think happened. So, all of the people who made some Baby Yoda and Mandalorian and the Mandalorian armor artwork, yeah, you guys might want to make some more of it as Baby Yoda grows up, because I'm seeing the direction this is going, and I hope it does go that way. But let's always temper our expectations, and remember, things can go any which way. Yeah, probably the weakest part of the episode has to do with the planet itself. It's a neat planet. It looks to be like a very, not industrial planet, but a planet ruined by industry is what I'm going for. It's basically ruled by somebody who once contributed heavily. The planet is ruled by somebody who had. The planet is ruled by somebody who had big contributions to creating the Empire's war machine. So So that's probably intended to explain why this force plant is practically dead. And she has hired, apparently at least one mercenary, conscripted people, droids, to enforce her rule. And what actually I did like about all that is this like mercenary she's hired. Basically, once she and Ahsoka are facing off, the mercenary she hired doesn't fight the Mandalorian, doesn't fight Din. Almost like, yeah, I'm just here for the money. So I'm not going to do anything until I know who wins or loses. Which actually does kind of make sense. Mercenaries are good until it looks like you might lose. Then they either will turn against you or not do anything to see what happens. And I should say Ahsoka and this Baroness, I think it might have been her title, I don't know, fight, and the ruler of this planet has a spike, or is it a pike? Not a halberd, that much I do know. Plus spear I know, but it's basically a melee weapon made of pure Beskar. And I want you to take note of that term, pure Beskar, which means it probably has not over a 99% concentration of Beskar. Because we have seen, Beskar take different levels of damage and also all that. So I think it's possible that different Mandalorian armor sets have different levels of purity. Some may have a 99% purity, which would be considered pure. Some, I think, Din had over a 90%, over 95. But like the ones we saw in Rebels and the Clone Wars, I think those could be closer to 75, which would mean less integrity. Which I think is an interesting concept, because this is the first time I think we've had the term purity, the term pure Beskar used, which implies that not all Beskar is pure Beskar. I feel like Boba Fett's armor is closer to 50% purity, in that. So I think that is something interesting that I hope they bring up in future properties, whether it be in the Mandalorian or in other story material as well. But I do kind of like the idea that that Beskar can have different purities. It's kind of I'm sure many alloy metals in the real world are like that, and I'm positive. So I really do like that being dropped. The only other thing I have to say is, kind of wish we had maybe a bit more context for the people who are being oppressed by the ruler of the planet. Just because I think it's a good idea to not only be sympathetic, because I feel like in Star Wars we have a natural sympathy to be sympathetic to those oppressed. That's generally how Star Wars runs. But I feel like we need just a little something here and there earlier on. We got a little bit, but just something. We need something a little more. I'm no film director, so I probably would have made it even worse. Dave Filoni is still early on in his live action directing, so it's obviously the case that he's still basically learning live action directing as well. But I still think he does a pretty good job. I mean, he obviously knows what he's doing. He just hasn't had the live action experience, the level of experience that most other directors have so far, if that makes sense. He definitely knows what he's doing. He just needs more practice, for lack of a better term. Which is actually, I think, is clear. He does a good job. He just hasn't refined his skill set yet, is probably a good way of putting it. So that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and upvote it. And also comment down below, what did you think of this episode? I would really love to hear from you. Also, feel free to follow me on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff is down below, along with my Discord server, great place to hang out. And if you would like to support my channel, there's a few links, including my Patreon page. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can also subscribe to the channel. So again, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to follow the channel yet, please do so. And feel free to check out either the video or the playlist on screen now. And as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.